and welcome to another episode of Live Feed with your host, Richard Santiago. Live Feed is brought to you by Traveling Tech Teacher. For all your digital resources, check out travelingtechteacher.com. Also brought to you by thebullyexposed.com, a 501c3 nonprofit organization geared at helping survivors of bullying, so let them help you. And in case you didn't know, the crown is back. The crown is back. Unpacked it the other day, and so the crown is back. I want to let you guys know that Instagram now has the bell notification like YouTube does. So to keep up with everything that we're doing, guys, please smash that bell. Smash it real hard, and you'll be notified every time an episode comes in on Instagram. Also, if you are new to our channel, because I've seen a lot of new names in the last couple of days, please don't forget to follow us. Please don't forget to share and comment. Tell me what you think. If I'm doing something wrong, let me know. You're not going to hurt my feelings. No, you're not. You're only going to make me better if you tell me, or you're going to make us better if you tell us what we're doing wrong. Josh02, thank you for joining the show. So today's topic, does familiarity breed contempt? This question comes from our good friend Tully. Tully, thank you for submitting your question. If you have questions, just submit them in a comment and on any of our inspirational posts, or if it's kind of private, you could DM us. All right. Or you could always email me and tell me what you have, and you email me by going to thebullyexposed.com, clicking on contact us, and I will get the email. So this one I've had in the books for a while, but I couldn't think of the best way to attack it. I couldn't find anything really intelligent on the internet about the subject. So I just reached out to a friend of mine, and he sent me an email. And so I created a audio file so you guys can hear what the person has to say about familiarity breeding contempt. Okay, so let's give a listen to it.
The expression, familiarity breeds contempt, is all too familiar. Yet, as is the case with many common sayings, we might benefit from taking a look at whether or not it truly makes sense. When we don't examine these beliefs, they tend to become self-fulfilling prophecies. Ordinarily, the expression, familiarity breeds contempt, refers to what often happens in long-standing relationships and marriages.
I want to stop right there. Yeah, that is true. When we are not aware of something, or we either kind of ignore it, or we kind of aren't familiar with it, or don't go back to something, we tend to forget, and then it tends to creep back at us, if it's something negative. So that's important to familiarize yourself with stuff, and keep it in your mind and always refer back to it. That's my opinion on that.
Regrettably, over time too many relationships begin to see their happiness wither. Yet, the question remains, is it actually familiarity that causes this disappointment? We might consider whether it's familiarity that's the culprit, or whether something else is provoking the contempt. At times, familiarity may, in fact, pave the way for greater intimacy and love. After all, when the relationship begins, and we open up to emotional intimacy, we set the stage for falling in love. If a soft kiss, an appreciative hug, or the simple feeling of being cared for becomes familiar, then familiarity, in fact, evokes and sustains love.
See, so right there, he's saying basically that familiarity can be used in a positive way. So Now let's see how it can be used in a negative way if he's going to cover that.
In loving relationships that embrace emotional support and respect, familiarity produces a wonderful life. What we become accustomed to should become the focus of our attention.
Thank you for everyone that's just joining us. We're listening to an email that my friend sent. If you're just tuning in.
In relationships, the problem is not with familiarity, but more about that to which we're acclimating. For example, disrespectful, dishonoring, and negative energy all too often becomes familiar territory in relationships. These are the elements that cause contempt. Perhaps we'd be better off saying mediocrity or unhappiness breed contempt. At the onset of romantic relationships, we seek to become familiar with one another. After all, that's the only way that we can truly know each other. If love and intimacy are the goals, they can only be achieved through a more intimate knowing of one another. The difficulties that marriages endure are not derived from this intimacy, but rather are caused by a turning away from each other. When we do so, we begin to take each other for granted. This typically happens after we've become comfortable enough, and the conquest of love has been achieved.
Yeah, that's so true. I know so many people like that chasing after something, chasing after something, chasing after something. Then they have it, and the relationship crumbles and falls apart real quick because they enjoyed more of the chase than they did of having it, you know. And I think a lot of people do this with objects as well, like maybe a car or maybe, something you might want. You chase after it so much that once you finally have it, you really don't treat it very, very nice. And that's sad.
This may signal the beginning of that negative familiarity. When we honor one another, we're not likely to experience contempt. The disdain comes from not getting our needs met. It originates from a turning away from your partner and a relationship philosophy that more likely resembles a me first attitude. Contempt is the emotional reaction to not feeling cared for and perhaps disrespected. When we feel valued by our partners, our relationships are inclined to thrive. At the least, this feeling of being valued tends to limit hostility and scorn. When we devalue our partners, contempt becomes very prevalent. We must pay close attention to the slide into the devaluing of one another. This pattern becomes cyclical, for as soon as one feels denigrated, it's likely that they will react negatively and impart the same negativity upon their partner. One solution rests in learning to authentically communicate your feelings rather than acting them out. Tell your partner how you feel, rather than behaving contentiously. I feel angry, and let me explain why may provide a different response than acting out angrily. Not doing so will assure that the pattern of contempt begins.
That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Um, very good information too. Um, I can tell you when I was younger, I was dating someone that was a very generous person, and that's what I really liked about her. She liked to help everyone. But sometimes I felt, though I'm not saying I was right, this is a younger me, okay? Let's not judge the younger me to the adult me, Maybe I would have looked at it differently now if I was in a situation. Maybe I would have looked at it the same. But when I needed her help, I felt that she was not there. But she was always there to help everyone else. And I think that's because sometimes she might have spread herself a little too thin when it comes to helping everybody. And then she can't help everybody. And because she's familiar with me, I think she would say, I'm going to put your needs aside and help this other person out. At least that's how I felt. And I spoke to her about it, and nothing changed. And now I know the adult me knows that I should have said to her, you know what, we've talked about this. I don't think you're putting me first. Or, hey, Louise, thank you for joining the show. I don't think you're putting me first, or I don't think you're caring about me the way I feel I should be cared for. And I should have just ended the relationship. But what I did was let the contempt fester and grow into something really bad. Um, and now I know the adult me knows I shouldn't do that. Hey, Louise, thank you for joining us. Hey, Louise, I want to remind you, have you smashed that bell over our name? If you go to our screen name, you'll see a bell. Be sure, guys, to smash that bell so that you're notified every time we have an episode of the show. So, Louise, we're talking about this familiarity breed contempt. And we just listened to an email that my friend sent me about the subject because I really couldn't find anything on this subject. But I know that what they said in the email is true. If you feel like you're not being taken care of by someone that should be taking care of you, whether it's a friend, whether it's your husband, your wife, brother, sister, and you don't talk to them about it. If you don't talk to them, you're going to anger. If you don't talk about your anger, you're going to act out your anger. And if you act out your anger, that's going to breed contempt for both people in the relationship. And it doesn't matter what relationship you're in. You could even be in a relationship with your boss. That's a relationship. It doesn't have to be a romantical relationship, but it's a relationship. And if they do something wrong and you don't express how you feel, then that's going to fester into something, and you're going to start acting out your concerns, and that's going to be really bad. I could also remember, and Louise says that's true. Thank you, Louise. Smash that heart, everyone. Whether you're watching this live on the recorded version, smash that heart for Louise for being the first to comment today. I can remember one time I had a friend, okay, and I met him through another friend. So after I met him, we decided, hey, do you want to go hang out and I forgot what it was we were going to do, but we had something in common that we both liked and we wanted to do it together. Thank you for the love, Louise, and smashing that heart. So we did that together. And so when I saw him again, I said, hey, good to see you again, brother. Good to see you again, brother. And we shook hands, and he right away stopped me and said, my name is Andre. Call me Andre. Don't call me brother. Don't call me anything else. Andre. Now, some people might get upset for that. I didn't get upset about it. I appreciated that. I appreciated him telling me I don't like to be called anything else but my name, which is basically what he said. He didn't do it rude. Wasn't rude about it. You know, he didn't threaten me in any way. So it was cool. And I always appreciated that. And through our friendship, that's one thing I've always appreciated. So he could have easily let the fact that I called him brother or something that wasn't his name fester inside of him. And then eventually he would start acting that out in being rude or whatever. And then we would have never became friends. But he didn't do that. He right away addressed the situation, and I guess you can say, when every time I tell this story, I have some people say, well, he was being rude in a sense because he was trying to, like, I guess, set me in my place. I don't look at it like that. What do you think, Louise? I don't look at it like that. I don't look at it like, nope, I'm gonna nip this in the butt. I'm not gonna have this guy disrespecting me this way. I guess he could have took it like that, but he knew that I meant no disrespect by it. He's just and I talked to him years later about it, and he was just like, I wanted to set the right tone. I didn't want there to become any familiarity that's going to breed contempt. And that's exactly what he did. And I respected it from him. I know someone else probably would have turned around and said, nah, man, he disrespected you, man, and you shouldn't put up with that. But, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. So today's lesson, okay, boys and girls, is that, you don't like something, someone bullies you maybe, speak to them, get it off your chest, be polite. There's no reason to be rude. Be polite, but definitely don't just let it fester because eventually you're going to act all that out in the wrong way. And then that's when familiarity is going to breed contempt. So that's my advice to all you guys and girls. So Louise, are you able to tell me what you think? Do you think he was rude to me? Do you think that when if your name is Louise, um, if I call you something that you don't like to be called, and you sit there and say, hey, I know we just met, but what what I don't like being called this or that or whatever. I'm sure there has to be a name that you don't like. Like for me, I'll tell you guys this. For me, a lot of people think that I don't. For me, if you call me Ricardo, Rick, Ricky, what else? Those things don't bother me. Richie, Richie doesn't bother me. You know, I know a lot of my friends, they don't like to be called Richie because it's like they're a kid and you're not respecting them. They're an adult now, so call them Richard or call them Rich. I know some guys that are named Rich don't like to be called Ricky because that's like Ricky Ricardo. It's like a joke to them. You know, me, I don't care which one of those you use, Rich, Ricky, Richie, whatever. Um, so I know names are very important with people, but is it rude when people? Is it rude when you put them in your place? So Louise says, I don't like being called Lou. Okay, so if I call you Lou and you address that to me, I don't like being called Lou. Um, Is it rude when you first hang out with somebody? Should you get to know them before you say, hey, by the way, I don't like being called Lou? Or should you handle it right away on the spot? Um, Louise, you don't like being called Louise? Oh, I never knew that. Or is that Lois? Lois? Louisa. Ah, that's my aunt's name, by the way, Louisa. I guess it's Latina, right? It must be. Um, so that's my question. That's my question to you. Um, when? When do you tell the person? So you and I just met. I call you Lou. Hey, Lou, nice to see you again. Second time meeting. Is that the right time to say, hey, let's get this, let's get this relationship on a good note, on a good track. Don't call me, Lou. Don't call me Louisa. Or do you wait and become more familiar with the person and then turn around and say, well, by the way, I don't like Lou, I don't like Louisa. When is the right time for you? For you? Because it's going to change for everyone. No, I do not like being called Louise or Louis. Yeah, who would call a woman Louis? Anyway, um, I think for me, I think right away is the best time. Don't be rude about it. You know, and I almost forgot to put my cover up. Don't be rude about it. But right away, I think right away is the best time. And if the person thinks you're rude because you guys haven't got to know each other, and right away you're saying, I don't like to be called Lou, or I don't like to be called whatever it is you don't like to be called, then that friend wasn't worth having. That's the way I look at friends. My son, I've told this on the show before. My son makes fun of me because I literally have always one or three good friends. One or three. That's my wife has like 50 friends. When we have dinner parties at the house, there'll be one or two of my friends, and the whole house will be filled with my wife's friends. Um, because I'm the type of person that I would much rather have three good friends that I can trust than to have 50 that I can't that I can't trust, or that I can only trust like a small percentage, and that's me. Let's see. Louise says, okay, if I first meet you, I have to address their name properly. Once you get to know them, well, use a nickname. Right, but if they get it wrong, like if you tell them, how you doing? My name is Louise. They call you Lou. When is the proper time to tell them that, hey, it's not Lou? Do you wait and get a little familiar with them, or do you just chop it off right there in the beginning and say, whoa, 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 it's not Lou, it's not Louisa, it's you know, whatever name you want to go with. I like being called Louise. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Louise, or Louisa. Oh, you do like Louisa. Okay, I thought you said you didn't. Or Wheezy. Right, Wheezy, the nickname. Yes. Moving on up. Right away. Okay, so Louise says right away. Yeah, you know. So like I said, sometimes I gotta admit I'm weird. Sometimes some people, and not a name, but some people will do things. Like I said, names really don't bother me, but some people will do things that I really don't like, and I won't address it right away. It all depends on what kind of mood I'm in, you know. Or so if I'm in a mood of being generous, being nice, I don't want no bull. I will let things go. And then sometimes I notice that you let things go and then you address it later on, and it's like you're a bad guy because you let it go. So maybe right away is the best thing. And I've been in situations again where um, taking care of something right away, addressing something right away with a new friend ends the friendship. But there's nothing you can do. We all too many times we worry about what other people would say, and we don't worry about us. And then when we don't worry about us, it festers, and then again it comes out in negative behavior. So you have to address it right away. If you don't address it right away, it doesn't mean it's wrong. There's no wrong or right answer in this. You just, when you decide to handle it, you got to be ready to lose a friend. You can't say, oh, I should have not said anything because now I lost a friend. Can't be afraid of that. Squat, thank you for joining the show. And I know I pronounced your name wrong. Thank you for joining the show. But if you're just joining us, does familiarity breed contempt? Hello, sir. Is that you, Pico, with a new name? How you doing, Pico? I wish that. Let me see. Let me see if I can find Tully, because Tully was the one that had this question. He's the one that came up with the question. Yep, it's Pico. Pico, how you doing? Konnichiwa, Rico-chan. Konnichiwa, Yamada. How are you guys doing? Thank you for smashing that heart. Whether you're watching this live or recorded, please smash that heart. And don't forget, guys, when you click on our name, over to the right of our name, you're going to see a little bell. Smash that bell so you're notified every time the show is on. Good to see you, Rico. I got to admit, I miss you guys. You, Pico, and SK. Now that I do the show at a different time, you guys aren't on all the time, and I really miss you guys. But I got someone joining me, Louise, that used to join me all the time and hasn't. So I'm really glad that she's on as well. Rico Chan is sleeping. Okay, when she wakes up, please tell her I said hello. And to DM me a question. I love her questions. I love the way she thinks. I love her questions. So please tell her to DM me a question. And same thing for you guys. If you have a question, just go to any of our inspirational posts, hit the comments, and type in your question. If it's a personal question, then you can DM us. I'm responding to documents. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Naho Raho. What? Who's that? Who's Naho Raho? There is one guy that seems to be. We're not going to give him the time of day, but he seems to be harassing all our followers. Just block him, guys. Don't answer him. There's no need for you guys to answer anybody that's gonna harass you. Um, So I'm going to ask Rico this question real quick. So Rico, if someone calls you, you just met someone and they call you by the wrong name, when is the right time to respond to that? Is it right away? Is it should you wait? When should you correct the person that they're saying your name wrong, or that they're calling you a name you don't like? I'm not talking about bullying. I'm talking about someone calling you a name that you might not like. He harassed me. Remember? Yes, yes. Yes. Riko Chan is sleeping. Yes, yes. Riko Chan is sleeping. Just when she wakes up, tell her I said hello. That's all. No, don't wake her up because I'm sure she's tired. Um, but like I said, from Louise said it's right away. I had a situation where it happened to me, and the person corrected me right away. I did not lose any respect for that person. Um, for me, I have done it both ways, and got some negativity for doing it right away. Got some negativity for waiting. So for me, it's like 50-50 up in the air. That's why, whether you're watching this live or recorded, please let me know what you think. Right away, or do you wait till you get more familiar with the person, then correct them? I told this story too. When I used to work for the United States Postal Service, I had a guy on my route that used to call me Robert. An old man that used to call me Robert. Never corrected him. Never corrected him. Then a couple of years later, um, his wife and him comes to get some mail. His wife knew that my name was Richard, and she says, "Hey, Robert, how you doing?" And she looks at him and goes, "Who are you calling Robert?" And she goes, "Him, the mailman. No, his name is Richard." And then he turned to me and said, "How come you never told me?" I was like, to me, it wasn't something that needed to be addressed. You call me Richard, I'm busy on my route doing my work. I don't have time to really correct, and it's just something that just passed on. Sir, I miss your music theme. You missed a theme? Okay, no problem, buddy. No problem. Let's see here. There we go. We'll put that in the background just for Pico because he misses it. Yeah, it is a catchy tune. And again, I want to thank Young Blue 2020 who created the song for us. Young Blue, he'll create music for you. Just DM him. Young Blue 2020. Thanks, Young Blue. I'll send them this. So let's see. Louise chimes in with, "I have had people who don't know me use my nickname right away, which is Wheezy, but it doesn't bother me." Okay. How did they know then? Is it just because they kind of figured it would be it because it's Louise, so it kind of just like goes right in? And Pico says, "Thank you, sir. You're welcome, buddy." Um, Yeah, like I said, when it comes to names, for me, names don't bother me. But there are people, for whatever reason, name is got to be right on. If their name is, like I know a lot of people, their name is Robert, people will call him Bob, and some people hate that. It's not Bob, it's Robert. Especially if your name is Roberto. I know a lot of people, their name is Roberto, and people will say, "Hey, Bob, come here." And it's like, Bob? No, it's Roberto. So please use Roberto. So I understand that a lot. Because they see other people mention it. Oh yeah, yeah. Same thing with me. When I was a kid, I could remember. Here's a funny thing. You might appreciate it. You might appreciate Louise, being that we grew up together. Medic, thank you for joining the show. When I was young, I used to call my dad Papi because that's how you say father in Spanish, and I would say Papi, and all my friends actually thought that that was his name. That not my Spanish friends, of course, my black friends or white friends or people that were non-Latinos. They would think that Papi was his name, so they would say Papi, hey Papi, hey Papi. My dad was cool with it, you know. Um, then I had a friend one time who she she called her mom, and when I met her, I said, "Hello, mom. Nice to meet you." Maybe this was wrong of me to do, but I said, "Hello, mom. Nice to meet you." She goes, "You're not my son. I didn't give birth to you." And I was like, "Oops, okay." So I guess I did the wrong thing because I there was no familiarity, and I just jumped in with that, and she I guess she felt disrespected, and she put me in my place. So no hard feelings. That's the way I look at it. Um, and then I have a friend who's Arabic, the same. And for Arabic, dad is Baba. Baba is dad, and we call her dad Baba. And it's always been like that. And I guess when we started to call him Baba, the familiarity was there, so he didn't say anything like, "Hey, don't call me that," you know. So that's what happens. I address people's parents respectfully. Yes, I was young. Okay, I was young, and I forgot. I wish I could tell you whose mother was that, because you might know him. Being we grew up together. But yeah, well, maybe I kind of jumped the gun there, but yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I don't know why I felt like I could get away with that day, but she put me in my place and I didn't get away with it. So it kind of works. Kind of works. But yeah. As again, I want to thank Tully, and I'm going to send him a copy of this video. But I want to thank Tully for giving us this topic. Very interesting topic. Dana, thank you for joining the show. Pico says people complain to me a lot for being too violent or rowdy. Oh, that's crazy. I don't think violent is what you. I could be wrong, Pico, but I don't think violent was the word you wanted to use on that. I think, but I know what you're saying. Too rowdy. I know what you're saying. But yeah, unless somebody else wants to chime in with something else, I think we did a good job covering this topic. I tried to handle it professionally, but I didn't mean to be violent. Oh, you were violent. Okay. Okay. Well, I am not in this situation, so I'm not definitely not gonna um, say if you were too violent or not. That's for sure. That's for sure. But I see. Okay, protesters. Got it. Rioters. Sorry. It's sometimes hard to read these letters behind my cover page that I put up, but I like to have my cover page up. I think it's better. That way, when people chime in, they know what the topic is about. That's why I like to keep that up. But sometimes I make it and it's so hard to read. I gotta remember to put. Well, it still would be difficult. I put dark letters on a white background that's hard to read everything. Maybe if I put white letters on a background, it would be easier. But that's going to do it for us today on Live Feed with your host, Richard Santiago. Of course, I want to thank Pico. Thank you so much for coming on. And of course, I want to thank my good friend Wheezy for coming on. Don't call her Lou. Now I know not to call her Lou. That's cool with me. Um, I don't know. I was thinking the last time I called a girl Lou. Okay, I didn't call a girl Lou, Lou, but I called a girl Lou one time, Lu, because her name was Lourdes. Her nickname was Lulu, and so I shortened it and called her Lou. But that's the only time I ever called a girl Lou. And Pico says he has to go. No problem, Pico. I gotta go as well. Nyla, my mind, thank you for joining the show. So we're just coming out, and we want to remind you guys, when you click on our name, you're going to see a bell on the right side of our name. Is it right? Yeah, right side of the name. Smash that bell so you're notified every time we do a show, so you don't miss a show, because you can learn something. These our shows have saved lives. Okay, I've received emails, countless emails that said I was in a dark place and I saw your show and it lifted me out of that dark place. So we are saving lives here. So be sure to smash that bell so you're notified every time. And if you're new to our show and you have not already, hit that follow button. Or if you're watching this on Instagram, subscribe. All right, guys? All right. And Pico says, adios, Señor Santiago. Adios a todo. In Italian, that's, I forgot how to say it now. Arrivederci a tutti. Arrivederci a tutti. So, Live Feed is brought to you by thebullyexposed.com, a 501c3 nonprofit organization geared at helping survivors of bullying, so let them help you. And by Traveling Tech Teacher for all your digital resources. Check out travelingtechteacher.com. So remember, guys, anyone can wear the crown. Anyone can be a hero. Be kind to one another and have a great day. And be sure to comment. All right. See you, Louise. Thanks for stopping by, Louise.